What's up guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we are working on my 1000 potential horsepower K-Series all-wheel drive Lambo Killer Honda Civic. And I told Garrett, I was like, hey, like I could bolt on all the stuff in the engine bay if you want to like mess with something else, because you know I've done this like probably too many times. He's like, okay, and he started like laying out the wiring harness, and then now we're rewiring the engine harness.
Now it's a full rebuild. Yeah, he just said plug it in. I was like, okay, yeah, I can plug it in, and then I didn't just plug it in.
Well, he like laid it. He's like, can you help me with the layout real quick? And then threw it on. Well, he threw it on there. I was like, yep, everything goes in its spot, like because it's a custom harness, you know, very custom harness. But now he's trying to make it a little bit nicer, which I think that's okay. Obviously, you know, I have a lot of work to do in the interior, so he's gonna mess with that. Again, we're not trying to rush this thing. Even though I would like to get it ripping and just go out on the street, maybe finally race a Lamborghini after 4 years of calling this thing the Lambo Killer. That is one of the goals with the car, is like, and I don't want to race like a stock Lamborghini. It's going to be probably a turbo one of some sort. So look forward to that in the future. Or if anybody in Colorado has a twin turbo Lamborghini on, maybe that doesn't make like 2,000 horsepower.
Oh, buddy, I know some people.
Charles knows some people.
I know some people.
Okay. Let's just see. Maybe we'll go to the drag strip. Maybe we'll do some things on the street. But I guess it'll happen after this engine harness is back together.
Oh yeah. Minutes away.
Minutes away. Like the engine harness was supposed to be like the quickest thing, you know, like, oh, it just goes on, plugs in, and now here we are. It was like he's laying it. Well, honestly, like probably laying it out and wrapping it is something I should have done a long time ago.
You do what you got with the time you got. So it ran before. That's all that matters.
So hopefully by the end of this video, this thing will be a lot cleaned up, and it's gonna start up and it's gonna go bop, 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 and then it's gonna rip.
Scroll every now and then.
Yeah, you just got to give it a quick little, you know, little refresh, little update, change the location once, let it update, scroll real quick, nothing good. All right, back to work for an hour. Then an hour later, timer goes off in my head, marketplace. All right, you know, it's like a little bit, boop, boop, boop. All right, bam, straight to marketplace. All right, let's go.
Day 65, and we're so much closer. Basically, we're at the point now that we have the engine harness buttoned up for the most part. I don't think there's anything left to do on it, but we did kind of a little bit of a wire tuck, cleaned up some stuff, added terminals where it needed it, because it was kind of not haphazard, but you know, when you build a car in a hurry, you build a car in a hurry. So taking the time, doing that right. We have axles in now. Basically, I think we're down to spark plugs, coils, turbo, manifold, that stuff. Once the turbo's on, we have oil system sealed up, and I think that's pretty much keeping us from starting at this point. So, go for now.
Trevor, how you doing, pal?
Hey, how you doing?
Looks like a rat's nest.
Well, yeah, it's so I'm slowly realizing and being a little bit sad because it's turning into a race car. Like my little yellow Honda Civic that sat on the shelf for so long is now just turning into a race car. Like imagine this thing, like 1,000 horsepower, heat, right? Heat, radio, AC, power steering, carpet, windows, locks, maybe cruise control. But at this point, I think all that stuff's out the window. So we're gutting the interior. I'm pulling out the heater core right now. It's kind of stuck in there. I don't know. I'm loosening the dash a little bit, see if I can kind of wiggle it back a little bit to be able to pop the heater core out. But other than that, I mean, I think we're getting some decent weight out of here. Also, I was gonna do like a full kind of custom chassis harness, something similar to I did with my S14 where like switches and stuff. We were actually talking with ECU Master. This thing is on an ECU Master EMU Black, which not a lot of people run on a K-Series, but they actually have an adapter harness to like a stock RSX Type S wiring harness. So anybody, instead of buying like a Honda, which is like $1,000 or $1,200, literally you could get an ECU Master EMU Black with a jumper harness for just a little bit more than that and have 100% full control over everything, which is pretty cool. And also we're a dealer on MotionAutoPerformance.com. So, but what I was getting at is we're putting in a PMU, so it's a power management unit from ECU Master. So it's basically a brick and it has a bunch of inputs and outputs, and it's kind of like a standalone ECU fuse box. You get a CAN keyboard too, so you have a CAN keyboard that you could push buttons on. Like you have like we could raise the boost, we could lower the boost, we could up the duty cycle, change a bunch of stuff on a digital dash. So that is actually on its way right now from ECU Master. So on top of the MU Black, we're gonna have a PMU for the power, get rid of all the fuses in the car, literally run fuel pumps off of it. Then we're gonna have a digital dash and the CAN keyboard, and it's gonna be sick. So this thing is gonna be like fully outfitted in ECU Master stuff. Right now we're doing some temporary cleaning up because all of the wiring is getting completely done when we do that stuff. So I'm just deleting stuff out of the dash, cleaning it up, and then we're gonna have a race car. Don't mind those wires. They won't be there for long.
Before we put the turbo on, can you shift through the gears? I wasn't able to find fifth.
It's funny that you say that you can't find fifth.
It has a dog box, so 1 through 4, and it has a 5th gear cuff. So there's no 5th gear, but there's a 6th gear.
Is that what that was?
I have a 6th gear, yeah.
Okay. I thought that was reverse. All right, good. I'm not on it. I was like, yeah. Fifth is not here. What is going on?
No, yeah, it's there's a cuff in there holding the gears together. But I'm pretty sure there's a 6th gear. If not, then it's just a 1 through 4.
You gave me a look like, would you brake?
Yeah.
Looks good to me. Look, guys, I'm doing something.
Should we add some more spring to it?
How many springs are there?
Those are 3. So there's the main one. I think on gate this thing's like 6. I think it's like a 16. So that could be why we're only making like 30-ish. So maybe we need to pump it up, because normally with a 3-port boost control, you could only really double it. You might need a little bit more spring. I think we at least put it to 20, because then we could go to 40.
Yeah. Do you have the spring to do that here?
Yeah. Oh, we got the springs. We got some springs.
Like I said, we have the whole ECU Master PMU on its way, and that should be here within like a week. There's no sense in completely redoing everything. Obviously, I'm kind of taking a little bit of time to kind of tidy it up and put it in better places than it was. We're not going to rewire the entire car right now. We're going to save that for next week. What we would like to do is start this thing. I went ahead and I put, this was kind of switched ignition for the ECU that basically triggered everything, because I was concerned that something with the ignition switch was killing it off the line, when in fact it was just like my oil pressure sensor going bad. That was the issue that we had like 2 years ago at Bandamere. So we have a push button start. We have the switched ignition for the ECU, all that stuff. I'm just kind of tidying up some things right here, moving it. I also put the little BTI gauge here. We removed the heater cord completely. So we got rid of a lot of this HVAC stuff, and we are looking at making a blanking plate for right here to maybe either do the CAN switch, and then we'll do the actual ECU Master dash up in the dash where it's supposed to be. So this is gonna actually look pretty cool in the future. So put the ECU in it, plug in a base map, and Garrett's messing with some stuff in the engine bay. Once that's all kind of done, then we should be able to hook the battery up, push that button, and it'll go like it's just gonna it's gonna loud. It's gonna be loud.
Garrett's like, hold on. We're not ready quite yet. Laptop is in my lap. Is it a laptop or a laptop? Lap?
It's on top of your lap.
Lap. But what if you put it on the top of a lab?
Then it becomes a laptop.
Now it's a laptop. Restart and install the latest Windows update. Do you think I should do that right now?
Absolutely
Should I do
not.
that right now? Okay. Key on.
Garrett's hands are still in the engine bay.
I'm in a safe place.
Hey, do we got fuel pressure?
And we got fuel pressure?
Hey, sweetie.
Hi, are you on your way?
I'm actually just sitting in the driver's seat of the Civic for the very first time, and we're gonna start it right now. I'm on my way in 5 minutes. 5 minutes, okay? All right, bye, sweetie.
Whoa!
It's almost like no spark. It popped once, remember? All the crank triggers, everything's like plugged in. So basically we just need to see if she has spark now.
We have spark.
I'm gonna mess with it tomorrow morning because I'm late for dinner. So I'm gonna go home and think about it, and maybe we'll figure it out. It is the next day. I went home, I slept on it. I called Garrett this morning and I was like, hey, do you got any ideas on that thing? And he's like, man, I don't know. I was racking my brain all night. I was watching videos, I was looking up something. I don't know if I missed anything. I was like, I think I might have figured out the no start condition. So on the K series right here, there is a cam 1 and a cam 2 sensor. And that is because it has a crank sensor down there, but then you also have a variable valve timing VTC gear, which like rotates the cam, advances it based upon like what you're trying to get out of the engine. Then you have another cam sensor on the back, obviously, because if the front one's advancing stuff, it's going to change some things on the back. It's just so the ECU knows everything. Well, there's two separate sensors in the wiring. They will literally plug into each other and the sensors will swap into the wrong hole. So the sensor in the front is actually the wrong one. It actually needs to be the one that goes like vertical into the head, so it clips like that. And then the sensor in the back is the one that comes out as like a 90-degree. And I confirmed that by looking on the other side of the shop at another K-series that has not been touched. So I'm gonna swap these sensors real quick, and hopefully that is our issue. I think it has to be something super simple, just because this thing is always ran, always. So this guy goes in the back. This is a great time to tell you guys about our sponsor of today's video, which is the MotionAutoTv VIP program. Last month we gave away a fully loaded toolbox, and this month we are actually doing a Garrett turbo. So a Garrett GBC 35-700 or a GBC 37-900. It's a new line that Garrett released, and it's kind of their club line, which is more of their budget friendly thing. Basically, you get to pick between the 35, the 37, and your exhaust housing. So if you have like a 1J or 2J, you want a T3, you got like a big dog thing, you want like a T4, that as well. So we released it in the VIP group and talked about it, and a lot of people were stoked. They're like, I got an IS300, I've been wanting a turbo, that would be freaking sick. How cool is that? Also, we sell those things on MotionAutoPerformance.com. If you have not became a VIP, that is probably the best thing that you guys could do, other than watching the videos and liking the videos, to support the channel. So we have $10, $20, and $50 a month options. And the $50 a month option, they get free shipping on stuff, and discounts on merch, and discounts on MotionAutoPerformance.com. So if you're sleeping on the VIP, I don't know why, but I guess let's plug in the sensor and see if this thing freaking works.
Come on, baby.
So unfortunately, no start as well. So next thing that we can do is check compression. I did check the wiring and everything on the injectors. They are pulsing, and they are pulsing with that. We swapped sensors out. In the ECU master, there's no like errors for syncing. Basically, it's showing on the bottom, it says cranking, syncing, like cam sync, like is it syncing? Then it turns green, like yes, everything's good to go, like you're ready to start up. Oil pressure protection is turned off. There's no protections in it that are keeping it from firing. Pretty much the only thing we need to do now is just check compression, but I feel like even it had one pop, it went boom, like when we first cranked it, and then nothing since then. So all right, so number one, we're gonna see what this guy does. Sitting right at 75, that's not good. A little bit more than 75. A little bit more than 75, or what, 90? Right at 75. So either the valve lash is a little bit tight, or maybe lower compression because of the VTEC killers, and it's gonna take a little bit more to get it started. I've never messed with anything like this, but they all are 75 across the board. Maybe we'll have to check the timing, check the valve lash, go from there. What's it hung up on? I think this valve cover is just like you. It's hung up on some Gets hung up on some dumb shit. All right, so I think by looking at everything, it looks like we are off one tooth on the crank. So we're gonna go ahead and pull the tensioner. And we're gonna try to go ahead and release some tension on it, loosen these things on the top, and then basically rotate the crank back, lock the cams, give it a little tension, pop the links over one time, and then we should hopefully be in time with everything. And hopefully she'll have full compression and start, so we can get started on that. Tensioner is removed, timing is locked. There's basically some holes in the back of the cams where you could put an Allen key right there. Look at that. So that holds the cam so they don't like that way flop over. Obviously with aftermarket valve strings retainers like this thing, like if it's on a lobe, it wants to dink and like throw the cam, and we don't want to throw the cam. We want to lock it at TDC. That's where they're at. So now what we're doing is we pull the tensioner out. We're going to rotate the engine just boop. That's going to give us some tension on this side of the motor, and we're basically just going to jump one tooth, just go boop boop, and that's it. Right? I think that's it. Are you ready?
I'm not ready, but
we gotta do it. All right, let's see. All right.
okay.
Oh, that was a few.
That was just one. And now we can count the links in between again.
Timing, it looks like we were maybe half a tooth off, but it should have still technically ran, and that could be where our compression went. Also, the ring gap in this thing is freaking huge. and the rings haven't seated yet. That could have been it, but it should have probably popped, started, did something. What we actually figured out is right here on, this is like the tone wheel for the crank trigger. You can see right there on the, it says outside. And so there's this little, you know, what is that? Is that a, I don't even know what the reference is, but there's 2 teeth right there. And there's 1 tooth. And essentially, if you flip it around and do it backwards, then that tooth is now over here and the keyway is right here. That is why it wasn't starting, just because it was just off timing. Like not even really like even 180 out. That's just kind of in,
Just
like
telling it where the crank is. It thinks the crank is in the opposite side of its rotation.
It's interesting though, because it said in sync. You would have thought that it would give us like a crank or a cam trigger error.
And basically the only way we were able to figure this out is we were able to put the crank in position, turn the crank until that lined up with the hole for the cam position sensor, and actually touch and feel where they were in the wrong place. Without one of those, it'd be kind of really hard to diagnose. I mean,
and the one that we put on there didn't have any paint on it either. Like it was just like,
that's on me. Don't let them give you excuses for me.
Gonna get her back together, and this thing's gonna run today. If not, I'm not going home. Okay, we'll put an LS in it before we. It doesn't run today. So we're pretty sure the timing is all right, and now we are gonna do a little bit of a leak down test. So what you do is you set this thing to set, so like close to 0, like in that range. Connect the thing. Shows us like a 20 to 30%, which again, this engine has not ran, it has not fired, it hasn't like seated the rings yet. That's still pretty decent, especially with the big old ring gap that we have in here. So now we know there's no cylinder leakage, at least on number 1. So we're gonna go ahead and rotate it, do basically a leak down on all cylinders. Timing is now correct. That thing is on there, right?
What's that? Oh, it's here.
The tone wheel for the crank
I'm
sensor.
on it though, right here. Let's do it right there. That guy.
Tone wheel's ready to go, and then the only thing we gotta do is put some RTV on this thing, hope that it doesn't leak. Put it back together. We're gonna use the 90-minute gasket on it instead of the, like, you know, the 24-hour one. Pump this thing up, see if she fires up, which she should after we do leak down.
Why the ladies love mechanics.
All right, so it is finally time to start. We have the 90-minute RTV has set up for exactly 95 minutes now. Ooh. So technically, we should be ready to start. Should be able to have a little bit of oil pressure. Garrett, how do you feel right now?
Terrible. Yeah. It's showing on my face. I think I aged 5 years.
We're gonna go ahead and we're gonna key it on. We're gonna push the button and we're gonna see if she starts. You ready?
Oh! Come on, baby.
Garrett, you did it.
Only took
Hell
minor
yeah.
setback. Minor setback. That's my YouTube channel's name. Is
What?
Minor Setbacks.
That's actually good. That's it. Now that we know that it runs, obviously you can hear it. She's popping and like it's on the high cam. It didn't really like when I was tipping into the throttle. Probably needs some fuel enrichment right there, just because obviously the cam is this big instead of this big. If I go wide open throttle, this thing's probably mint because it's wide open throttle VTEC. That's what it was tuned for before with these cams. Now we got to give it some more air, some more. Actually, it has enough air. We got to give it a little bit more fuel. We're gonna put coolant in it, a little water wetter. Then I think we can back this thing off the lift and then we can take it for a little drive down the street. Like go up, pull up to a stoplight. This is like a different type of cam. Like in a Corvette, you sit there and you go, like with this, it's just like, I don't know what it would do. I don't know the difference, but let's put some water in it and let it run for a little bit more. And I'm gonna connect the laptop. Looking all right. It's coming up on coolant. It likes to rev. Like down low, it's kind of thumpy and like. As soon as it goes over like 7,000, it's like that's where it wants to live.
Nice.
Which that's pretty much where it makes boost anyhow. Is like 7,000. Like it's like full boost 7,000. You get from 7 to 95, and you just shift. We need to raise the idle screw because there's no idle air. It wants to idle at like 1,500.
Where is it now? It's trying to idle at 15 minutes.
No, I'm holding it the whole time.
Okay.
So as soon as I let off the throttle, it dies.
Where is it naturally sitting down? Like 1,000,
trying to go to like
900.
It won't even catch it. It just goes. Boys, so she runs, she drives, she's loud, she's super loud. How loud is that thing?
As a bystander, oh, it's perfect.
Yeah.
In the car,
it's not bad. In the driver's side. Passenger side, I think, is a little bit different. Like your right ear probably goes deaf.
Yeah, I can confirm.
Yeah, and we didn't even like get in it. I was rolling into it a little bit, like 10% throttle, and it was going a little bit leaner than I would like. Like it wasn't dipping. Normally like when you kind of tip into the throttle and it's kind of getting into boost, you'll watch the air fuel kind of dip with it. It didn't do that. So maybe because that was the slowest I've ever hit full boost in it, or like trying to hit boost. Normally I'm just like wide open, no lift shift. I'm super stoked to get this thing on the dyno, see how much power it makes, and take it to the drag race. See if we can make this thing an actual 8-second car. So appreciate you guys for tuning in to this revamp in the series. If you guys like it, give it a thumbs up. Again, MotionAuto Performance for parts in the description. And if you're not a VIP, we gave away a toolbox and a MacBook Pro, and we're doing a Garrett GBC 35 or 37 for our VIP this month. So if you haven't signed up to support the channel, VIP, appreciate you watching. See you later.